Hi there, this is Pride Weekly. We'll start with Monday. An Australian football player has apologised for an anti-Pride post on Instagram. It's all to do with special Pride matches in the country's A-League over the weekend to promote inclusivity. Adelaide United's Moussa Touré said he's a Muslim before anything, he's against the initiative, and all his Muslim teammates feel the same. The 18-year-old's now deleted the post, calling his comments hurtful and insensitive. Lucky he doesn't play alongside Josh Cavallo, who became the world's first out gay professional footballer in 2021. Oh, he does. Here's Josh telling ABC News about the wider impact of sharing his truth.
I've had so many people come to me and say, Josh, because of you, I've helped me come out to my family. Oh my God, it's one thing to get acknowledged by famous people, but it's another thing to get messages from mums, dads, grandparents, and to say that I've changed their kids' lives or kids themselves that message me. It's just absolutely breathtaking.
Queer people and allies have been protesting in Serbia over claims of police abuse. It's alleged officers assaulted and humiliated two LGBTQ+ people during a drug search at their home in the capital, Belgrade. Officials say they're investigating, but activists claim the complaint's already been rejected. And people in France jailed or fined for homosexuality over the 40 years up to 1982 could get compensation. This is what the lower house of the country's parliament's voted for. Still needs to be passed by the Senate, though, the upper house. It had been legal to be gay in France from 1791, but an anti-queer law was introduced in 1942 during the German occupation. Over the following 4 decades, as many as 10,000 people were convicted for their sexuality. It's Pride Daily for Tuesday. The mum of a transgender schoolgirl who was murdered by 2 teenagers in the UK has met with the mother of one of the killers. Brianna Jai was stabbed 28 times in a park in Warrington last year. Esther Jai says Scarlett Jenkinson's mother Emma is brave for agreeing to meet last week and tells the BBC she wanted to understand what it's been like for the family.
It was emotional. We spoke about very personal things and she was very open with me and she was so respectful as well. The crime that's been committed has impacted so many other people and they've lost a child and they haven't only lost a child but they've also got to live with what's happened.
16-year-old Brianna was murdered by Scarlett Jenkinson and Eddie Ratcliffe, who were both 15 at the time. The pair were sentenced to life in prison last month and may never be freed. A US women's golf tournament's changed its rules, so trans women can't take part. Florida's NXXT says players now have to have been a biological female at birth to participate. It means Hailey Davidson, who won the competition's Women's Classic in January, is now banned. The 30-year-old, who's Scottish but lives in Florida now, says bigotry will never win. NXXT reckons it wants to ensure a level playing field. And there's already lots of good reasons not to be homophobic, but here's another. It could leave you massively out of pocket. A coach in the Australian Football League's been fined $20,000 for allegedly calling a player an anti-gay insult during a pre-season match. Alistair Clarkson's apologised for inappropriate language, blaming the emotion of the moment. The 55-year-old's got to do some Pride in Sport training. It's Pride Daily for Wednesday. The thing I enjoy most about Florida's Don't Say Gay law is that to say don't say gay, you have to say gay. And there's a clarification of the rule following a legal challenge. It means schools now know they can talk about sexual orientation and gender identity, they just can't teach children about it. So for example, LGBTQ+ references in literature are all right in the classroom, as is discussing queer family members. Trans teacher Micah DeSanti tells WPTV the law's the reason he recently quit Florida after 14 years.
I knew I needed to leave. Like this is really just one tiny piece in a very large puzzle. The primary reason was I didn't feel safe being there anymore as an openly queer person.
The legal challenge also clarifies schools can have anti-bullying rules to protect LGBTQ+ students. Thousands of people have been protesting in a city in Greece after two transgender people were attacked by a mob. The pair were chased through the town square in Thessaloniki in the north, and bottles were thrown at them. 21 people are up on charges including abuse with bigoted intent. There's 9 children among them. Thessaloniki is due to host Europride, a European LGBTQ+ celebration, in June. And puberty blockers won't be prescribed to children anymore at gender identity clinics by England's health service. The medications pause physical changes like the development of breasts or facial hair. They'll now only be available to children as part of clinical research trials. The UK government welcomes the move. It's Pride Daily for Thursday. The wheels are in motion to ban queer conversion therapy in New South Wales in Australia. A bill's been introduced to Parliament there to outlaw attempts to suppress a person's sexuality or gender identity. These can include religious pressure to pray the gay away and hypnotherapy. Eamon McCorn, who's gay, was 17 when he was put through this. He tells ABC News he tried to take his own life.
I just couldn't deal with the amount of trauma and the amount of psychological damage that had been done to me, that my own family thought something was wrong with me, that I deserved to be put in a chair, quite literally, and have every part of me unpacked.
Conversion practices are already banned elsewhere in Australia. They'd be punishable in New South Wales by up to 5 years in prison. Next, Uganda is a nightmare if you're queer, episode 329. A court there has backed the country's government in refusing to register an LGBTQ+ organisation. The rejection of an appeal by Sexual Minorities Uganda means it can't operate legally. An earlier court ruling's been upheld, saying registration would effectively promote the rights of people engaged in acts Uganda has criminalised. And 3 players have been dropped from Austria's national football team over homophobic chanting. Rapid Vienna's Guido Burgstaller, Marco Groll and Nicholas Heidel were involved in singing "We Are Not Little Ass-Loving Violets." That's what they all say till they've had a few martinis. Austria coach Ralf Rangnick says it won't be tolerated, and he wants the players to understand the effect on people of discrimination. It's Pride Daily for Friday. It's been ruled a non-binary teenager who died after a fight in school in America took their own life. Next, Benedict was beaten unconscious at Owasso High in Oklahoma on February 7th and died the next day. Health officials say the 16-year-old probably took a mixture of Prozac and Benadryl and had toxic levels of the antidepressant and antihistamine in their system. Relatives claim Nex had been bullied for being non-binary for over a year. Maury Turner is the only non-binary lawmaker in Oklahoma and tells Coco 5 News the teenager's been let down.
Deeply heartbroken and very angry. The state of Oklahoma at several levels failed Nex Benedict, right? And we were all a part of that.
The alleged bullying came off the back of a new law in Oklahoma, meaning students can only use bathrooms at school matching their birth gender. There's more momentum behind the push for same-sex marriage in Japan. Courts in Tokyo and Sapporo have ruled the country's current ban is unconstitutional, with similar rulings previously from a number of other courts. It puts more pressure on the government to change things. Japan's the only G7 nation that doesn't allow same-sex marriage. That's a group of the wealthiest Western countries, including Canada, the UK, Germany, and America. And Kylie's headlining a Pride-themed festival this summer in fancy West Hollywood. Out Loud's at the start of June and aims to support emerging queer artists alongside icons of music. Also on the lineup, you've got Janelle Monáe, Diplo, and Sophie Ellis-Bextor. I'm Kev McGrath. See you Monday.